Hello friends. Now I'm going to demonstrate you the project which I have done as a part of my visualization course, which is CSE 564. So this assignment majorly deals with the dimensionality reduction. So I have chosen the university dataset from Kaggle website. So this has various information regarding college admissions. So my dataset has around 108 attributes and data regarding 1500 universities. I have reduced this dataset to 18 attributes with 10 being numerical and 8 being categorical and 1221 rows by deleting all the null variables, null rows. So by numerical attributes, here is a brief description regarding my numerical attributes. It has various information like applications per year, which gives us the average number of applications in the university receive every year. Enrolled per year, which has number of students that are enrolled in the university, total enrolled. Similarly, here is a brief description of all the other numerical attributes. Coming to categorical attributes, let me give you a brief description. They are admission percentage, which gives us percentage of admission students who get admitted. It is categorized into 5 categories as shown. Then comes the geographical region of the university, which is categorized into 8 categories. Then comes urbanization, major sport, state, percentage of women, and uh, this again has 4 categories. Sorry, 10 categories, which determines the women percentage in the total number of students. Then undergraduate percentage, which has undergraduate to total number of students. Total number of students here includes graduate students and PhD students, etc. And then classification. So as a part of this assignment, I have done visualizations of this data by reducing the dimensionality using various known methods. The first method I'll be using is PCA, Principal Component Analysis. So PCA is generally used in exploratory data analysis. It is generally used for dimensionality reduction by projecting each and every data point in higher dimension onto first few principal components, that is n components meaning n dimensionality. So using this, we get a lower dimensional data while preserving as much of the data variations as possible. So the first principal component can be defined as as the direction that maximizes the variance of the projected data. That means the first principal component preserves as much as data as it can. So the first k components can preserve as much as data from the n dimensionality when it is projected onto k dimensions. So here PCA doesn't actually discard any rows or samples. Instead, it reduces the number of dimensions by constructing the principal components. So if we construct a PCA with k components, we get eigenvector. We get k eigenvectors where each eigenvector represents the direction of the axis in the newer dimension, and eigenvalue represents the magnitude for the direction of the eigenvector. So I have uh, plotted a scree plot where on the x-axis you have the total number of components, and on the y-axis I have used eigenvalue ratio. So I have also represented the percentage of eigenvalue ratio, which is a cumulative one. So the line represents the cumulative eigenvalue ratio. That is for component 3, it will be the sum of eigenvalues for 1, 2, 3. For component 4, it would be sum of eigenvalues for 1, 2, 3, 4 components. So this way, finally, it will the eigenvalue cumulative eigenvalue ratio will lead to 1. The percentage will lead to 100. So on the left side here, it mentions the absolute values, and on the right side, it mentions the percentages, absolute values of eigenvalue ratios. So basically, a scree plot displays how much. Scree plot is nothing but a relevant tool which is used to select the relevant number of components. So if I select 3 on a scree plot, that means we'll be using we'll be converting our n dimensional data into 3 dimensions. So when I have introduced user interaction. When I hover on a particular number of component, it also displays it pops up the eigenvalue for that particular component, and I can also click on the bars. So when I click on the bars, here I'll be showing the selected intrinsic dimensionality index. Intrinsic dimensionality index is nothing but it can be thought as number of variables needed in the minimal representation of the data. That is nothing but our n dimensional data is being converted into k dimensional data. So in that case, intrinsic dimensionality index would be k. So here when I select the 2, so previously let me load the whole website. So when I load here, you can see task 2 and task 2b2c would be empty. So when I select 2, that means my selected intrinsic dimensionality index is 2. So that means I'll be using the first 2 components, and I'll calculate the loadings from the first 2 components, and then I'll calculate the sum of paid loadings for all the attributes, out of which I'll take only the top 4 attributes which has the highest squared loadings value. So this is the table which shows the top 4 attributes which has the highest squared loadings value. So when I select 3, I'll take 3 components instead of 2. So the data automatically updates on the website. So you can select 4 as well. So you'll take a PC4, and the data changes accordingly. So for example, so when I hover, my pointer changes to, you can notice the change in the pointer. So pointer changes, which tells you that you can select the cursor. So here is the PCA loadings for top 4 attributes. Now, for these 4 attributes, I'll draw a scatterplot matrix. Scatterplot matrix is nothing but a grid of scatterplots used to visualize bivariate relationships between combination of variables. Each scatterplot in the matrix visualizes the relationship between a pair of variables. So here my top 4 variables are tuition fee, total fee outstate, undergraduate full-time, application per year. When you hover on a particular row, I'm highlighting the row just to make it look good and easy for visualization. So here, and also the alternate rows in my table are differently highlighted. So here is my scatterplot matrix for top 4 attributes. So the top 4 attributes being tuition fees, tuition fee outstate, undergraduate full time, and applications per year. So my first column and last row determine the undergraduate full time, and second column and last button row determines the tuition fees. So this particular scatter plot is a relationship between undergraduate full time and total fee outstate. So this is how you can find out each and every scatter relationship in each and every scatterplot matrix, scatterplot cell. So obviously the diagonals they represent the relationship between the same attributes. So obviously the scatter plot matrix looks linear. So also I have used k-means clustering for clustering my data, my whole data. So k-means clustering, I have run it from k number of clusters being 1 to 11, and I have used the elbow method to determine the optimal number of clusters. So I have shown the graph which I have obtained in the k-means clustering with various values of k, and I found out using the elbow method that optimal number of clusters is 4. So I have used 4 clusters to determine the data, to cluster my data. So I have given different colors for different clusters in my data. You can see there is some overlap between the clusters. This is because the clustering is done on all the n attributes, but I'm plotting only data of 4 attributes, top 4 attributes. I'm plotting only top 4 attributes, which is projected onto the selected intrinsic dimensionality index. So here, as I have selected 2, my whole data will be first projected onto a 2-dimensional space. Then I'll take those values and use them on the scatterplot index. First, I'll calculate the scatterplot matrix. First, I'll calculate the top 4 attributes using the squared loadings values. Then I'll plot them onto the scatterplot matrix. So if I select 3, my whole n-dimensional space will be first converted onto 3 dimensions. Then I'll calculate this top 4 square loadings, and then I'll plot this scatterplot matrix. So let me select one first. So you can see here the top 4 attributes are tuition fees, tuition fee outstate, undergraduate, full-time, and enrolled part-time. So these are the first top 4 attributes when I project my whole data into 1 dimension. But when I project into 2 dimension, my top 4 attributes actually got changed. Now the newer ones are tuition fees, total fee outstate, undergraduate full-time, and applications per year. Automatically my scatter plot matrix also changed as my top 4 attributes are changed. In this way, you can visualize the scatter plot matrix. You can actually visualize the scatter plot here PCA. When you select a particular dimension, you are trying to get the top attributes which visualize most of the data in that particular number of dimensions. So this is what PCA and scatterplot matrix is used for. And moreover, multivariate relationships are scattered across the tiles in the scatterplot matrix. So it would be a little bit difficult to see multivariate relationships here as it is across multiple tiles in the scatterplot matrix. So biplots is one other way to visualize this. So I have drawn the biplot as well. In biplot, what I have done is I have projected my n-dimensional data space. First, initially, I have scaled my data, all my data points into -1 to 1, like every column is scaled into -1 to 1. Then I have projected it into 2 components. Like I calculated a PCA with 2 components, so I'll get 2 vectors. Now I projected each and every point on n-dimensional space into 2-dimensional space. So this is the outcome. So my most of the points are on negative part of x-axis and negative part of y-axis because of the outliers. So I have a very outlier on the positive side. That means which skewed all my data onto the negative side of x-axis and negative side of y-axis. So biplot is nothing but it's a scatter plot, and it has vectors of all the attributes. So vectors is vectors being showed is also known as loading plot, which shows how strong each attribute influences a component. So here are the vectors for each and every attribute. I have given different colors for all the different attributes, and according to the colors, I have given the names here. So the red vector here is related to tuition fees. The yellow vector here is related to enroll part time. So actually, we can get a lot of data. We can visualize a lot. We can get a lot of data from these vectors. So when two vectors of close forming a very small angle, we can say that the two variables they represent are positively correlated. If they meet at 90 degrees, they are not correlated. And when they diverge from a large angle, they are negatively correlated. Here, my tuition fees and my total fee outstate, they are very positively correlated. And for example, my total fee outstate and undergraduate part-time, which is here brown in color, they are almost non-correlated because they are placed at 90 degrees angle. So this is my PCA based biplot, which I have done as part of task 1C, sorry. So my first link here, this is part of my task 1A and 1B. So when I click, it shows the PCA loading stable, which is part of task 2A. And 2B and 2C here, I have shown the scatter plot matrix with appropriate cluster coloring. So this is part 2B and 2C. So part 3, when I click on part 3, it takes a lot of time to load the whole data in MDS. So I have already loaded it. It takes around 1 minute because I have 1200 rows in my data. So what is MDS? MDS is like it's a multi-dimensionality scaling. This is also used for reducing the dimensions. So in MDS, this is my MDS graph. MDS, I have produced a scatterplot matrix here. Sorry, scatterplot graph. So in MDS, there is no meaning for all the attributes. So actually what happens in MDS is MDS preserves the distance between two particular points. If two particular points are very largely far away from each other in my n-dimensional space, they will be very they'll be put farthest from each other in my two-dimensional space also. So I have created a MDS with two components, that is two-dimensional space. So this is how my MDS graph looks when I project my n-dimensional space into 2 dimensions. So this is my task 3A and 3B. I have used the same clusters which I have done as part of my task 1, and I have used those clusters for coloring. Then I have created variables MDS correlation distance, variables MDS plot, and I have in the previous task 3A and 3B, I have used the Euclidean distance for calculating the distance between 2 points. So that's nothing but x1 root of x1 square minus y1 square, x1 minus y1 whole square plus x2 minus y2 whole square plus and so on. That is how you calculate the Euclidean distance. So to tell 2 points, how much 2 points are far away from each other, I have used the Euclidean distance as the parameter. Then I have calculated the correlation distance between each and every pair of points. So correlation distance, first I calculate the correlation distance and I applied modulus absolute value. I calculated absolute value for that correlation distance, and I then calculated 1 minus mod of correlation distance. This is nothing but my dissimilarity matrix for the MDS plot. So this dissimilarity matrix, I have given input for my MDS function. So on my MDS graph, if two points are very close to each other, that means they are very highly correlated. And when 2 points are away from each other, that means they are very less correlated. So I have given different colors for all my numerical attributes shown on MDS plot here. And I have also given different radius for each and every attribute. Then I have plotted the parallel coordinates plot. So this is my parallel coordinates plot. So I have mentioned in task 3C, we calculate the various variables MDS plot by using the dissimilarity matrix, which we have calculated using the 1 minus mod of correlation distance. I have used the Pearson's method for calculating the correlation matrix. So this is how my PCP plot looks like. Here I have introduced two ways of interactions. You can drag the particular attributes. So this is how you can analyze the data. I have used the same clusters which I have previously drawn. So also I have used the brushing concept where you can select a particular range of values in a particular attribute, which would be helpful for the visualization. So now that I have selected this particular range on tuition fees, it shows only those components, only those lines. So as there are around 13 attributes here, I have 13 attributes. So there would be 13 factorial ways in which there would be ordering for these axes. So there would be some better way to visualize the data. So in a between two axes, there are lines. So we can say if those lines are almost in parallel, then they are highly correlated. And if they cross each other, then they are very less correlated or negatively correlated. And if they are in zigzag manner, then they are zero correlated. So you can see here undergraduate full-time and enrolled per year. So you can see these two are very much for visualizing the data. I have put a brush here so that we can understand more easily. So you can see here enrolled per year and undergraduate full time. They are almost in parallel. They are very much highly correlated. And when it comes to these categorical variables, they are almost zero correlated. You can see they are completely in zigzag in manner. So let me select another range of variables. See, when we see again enrolled per year and undergraduate full time, they are very much highly correlated. There is an orange line here. This is completely an outlier. So here you can put brushes on different attributes also. So here you can put brushes on multiple attributes. I mean, you can see. So obviously, you can see if you have the total number of enrolled per year in my attribute determines the total number of students enrolled per that year. And undergraduate full-time is total number of undergraduate students that are registered in my in that particular university. Obviously they are related to each other, and this graph makes sense actually. Also in the similar way, enrolled per year and applications per year, let me drag it here. You can see these are also very highly correlated, because applications per year is total number of applications the university receives every year, and enrolled per year is total number of students enrolled. And obviously it makes very much sense that they are highly correlated. Higher the number of applications every year, the more the enrollment, the total number of students enrolled in that particular university. Also, let me show you these two categorical variables, urbanization and geographic region. So these are not at all correlated. Like every university can be in particular type of urbanization and particular geographic region. So these are very less correlated, and you can say zero correlated, and the zigzag lines here represents that. So in this way, we can come out with a particular ordering which represents the best way for PCC access. So I have shown that in my report. So as part of extra credit, you can come out with good PCC access ordering from correlations. So the greater the correlation between two attributes, that means my 1 minus mod of correlation would be very small for those two for those two particular attributes. So in the correlation matrix, I have nine numerical attributes. That means 9C2 ways. That is 36. So I have displayed all the 36 variables, 36 values from my correlation matrix. That would be lower triangular matrix. So this is actually 1 minus mod of correlation values. So the lower that value, the higher the correlation would be. So on my graph here, the smaller the distance between two variables, the higher the correlations would be. So using the traveling salesman problem, we can actually come out with a particular ordering of all the attributes, which represents the data in a better way. So I have run the traveling salesman problem on my data, and I have come up with a particular order. And you can, I have, the user can actually click on these points to select those points. So have a look at the initial ordering. So so in my order, traveling salesman order, here is the order given. So this is the order of my attributes for better visualization. That means every two adjacent attributes are highly correlated to each other. And this is the best way I can order my attributes. This is the best way. I mean, this information I have uh, got from the correlation matrix and correlations. So obviously, you can see I have said fee outstate and total tuition fees are very highly correlated. You can see my total fee outstate is very nearest to tuition fees. Then my tuition fees is nearest to percentage full time. So in this way, I have run the traveling salesman problem, and I came up with this particular order of attributes. So when I click the attributes in that particular order, so the first is total outstate. When I click so initially my first axis is percentage full time, but when I click the total outstate, my first attribute changes to total outstate. In my order, my second attribute is tuition fees. Third attribute is UG part-time. Fourth attribute is enrollment part-time. Fifth attribute is undergraduate full-time. Here it is in violet color. You can actually click on circle as well as text. Seventh is enrolled per year. Eighth is applications per year. Ninth is graduation percentage 2 years in masters. So this is how it looks like. So again, for more visualization, I'll put a brush. So you can see my enrolled per year and my undergraduate full time, these are very highly correlated. The lines are almost parallel. And also tuition fees and undergraduate part time, they are very highly correlated. My total outside fee and tuition fees, they are not very much highly correlated, but they are positively correlated. You can see this is better than a zero correlated graph. And you can see on my categorical variables, they are negatively correlated as it's completely zigzag. So I have used a traveling salesman problem and I have come up with a best ordering for the attributes, and you can actually click on this. This is part of my extra credit. So that's it. Thank you.